So, hello everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thank you all for being here. What an honor and such a joy. I am so excited to be here. I want to say thank you. Thank you so much to Onyinye. Thank you to all the organizers for having me, for inviting me. It's an honor. I'm always very humbled to be at an event and to be in the midst of such amazing and powerful women. So congratulations again on our International Women's Day. You know, we should celebrate ourselves as women, as who are doing great things in our own spaces. We should celebrate ourselves. You know, we have an adage in Africa, in Nigeria, that says, you know, if nobody is celebrating you, celebrate yourselves. This month, International Women's Month, International Women's Week, is a time for women to stand up and celebrate ourselves and look in the mirror and tell ourselves that we are great and we are enough. So welcome to this amazing event. I am so excited to be here. Thank you all for having me. Thank you to the Strong Enough Girls Empowerment Initiative and all the partners, SWAG, and all the partners that have put this together. Thank you all for inviting me and for having me here. I am so excited to be here. I am excited about the theme of this particular event, which is break the bias, especially and empower women and gender women around gender issues. We need to break the bias. And today I want to talk to us about some of the gender biases that we need to break. And when I talk about breaking them, I just don't mean that you go out with you stomp on it and you break it. I'm talking about smashing these biases with sledgehammers. Like, we've got to smash these biases across the globe, but in particular for women of color and women from the African descent. There are so many biases that we need to smash. And today I'd like to talk a little bit about 7 of those gender biases that we are looking to break. And then I would like to also give 3 nuggets of wisdom around what we as women can do for one another. And then there's 4 steps that we can take to ensure that we empower other women and empower ourselves. And so that's going to be the theme of my talk. Please, if you're in the audience, if you have a question, put it in the chat. I would love for this to be interactive. I'd love to answer your questions and just really make it interactive. And thank you so much for the comments around my hair. That is always something, you know, whatever happens as a woman, get up, get dressed, fix your hair and show up. Many times people think that when you show up that you are all together, that you've planned it. But in my life and my career, I've learned that you just get up, dress up, fix your hair and show up. And in showing up, that's 70% of what we need to do. In showing up, the universe helps you to move along. And so that's one of my quick nuggets before I jump in. So if you have any questions, please put it in the comment. I want to pause a little bit for the MC. Sheyi, thank you for the amazing work you're doing emceeing this event. Before I jump into my quick chat, is there any quick comments that anybody wants to make that I can address? While I'm waiting for that, I'll give you guys a quick story, a quick background of who I am. You guys already heard my name. I'm originally from Delta State in Nigeria. I grew up in Eastern Nigeria, and I grew up to a father who told me that I could be anything I wanted. I want you to hold that thought in your mind as we go through this talk. So my father made me understand that I could be anything I wanted. I came from a background with an education. My parents were in education. And so I went to an all-girls school. In an all-girls school, you don't recognize that you're a girl. You just know that you're human. And you start to explore the things that you love. And for me, science and math came so naturally to me. I didn't have to study for them. It was what I was naturally good at. I also had an elder brother who was studying engineering, and I thought how cool it is. He came back with his projects. He would talk about his projects, And I really wanted to be an engineer. And so off I went to the University of Lagos at a young age to study engineering. And lo and behold, I was shocked to realize that there was just 10 to 1 girls in this engineering classroom. I was the initial smart aleck. I would raise my hand and answer questions. And the first semester of my engineering education, I got the best result. I was good. I was academically blessed. Except that when I came back the next semester, a very good friend of mine who was male pulled me aside and said, Unoma, you have to stop answering questions in class. And I said, why? He said, you are annoying all the boys and they are planning to sexually assault you. And for me, that was the first experience I had that made me realize that I was a girl and that there are things that girls should not do. Girls should not be seen as these smart girls who answer questions, who shine boys. And from that day forward, I started sitting at the back of the class. I never spoke up again. And I actually vowed to myself not to graduate with a first class. So I did everything I could not to graduate with a first class. And I just really became a slacker. I thought, the last thing I want is for somebody to assault me. Fast forward, I graduated. I went for the internship in Abuja, Nigeria. And again, I worked in a company that this was the very first time in their so many years of being in Nigeria. It was an international company, but this was I was the very first female engineer that they brought in. They couldn't really figure out what to do with me. There was actually no female bathroom in that company. The first time I went out for a program or a project, I was sitting in the back of the truck. We jumped down, we were installing satellite dishes. 5 minutes into the installation, somebody ran up to me and said, you have to leave. The Malam that owns this house does not believe that women should walk alongside men. There should be separation between men and women. And again, that really, really frazzled me. And it wasn't until I was now in the process of doing my master's and PhD, I was very blessed to get a scholarship to come to the US to do my master's and PhD. And that's when it dawned on me that these experiences had really, really scarred me. And I thought to myself, there are so many more women across Africa, in Nigeria, who are experiencing these biases, and nobody's speaking up for them. There are girls and women who are much smarter than we are, much smarter than I am, that just need a little bit of a push, a door opened for them so that they can excel and do great things and speak up for themselves. Because while growing up, I heard that girls should be seen and not heard. And that is one of the biases that we need to smash. There is no such thing as one single way to be a woman. And I think that this is particularly relevant in our culture, where we think that for you to be a successful woman, by 26, you should be married. By 32, you should have 2.5 children. You should have a dog. You should have a loving spouse. You should be quiet. You should be the one who takes care of the home, who cooks all the meals, who drops the children in school. And that is the first bias I think we need to smash. There is no single way to be a woman. In this world of intersectionality, where we could be white, we could be black, you could be fat, you could be thin, you could be tall or short, you could be light-skinned, dark-skinned. We need to break the stereotypes that tell us that there is one single way to be a successful woman. I want to tell you some of my examples and the things that have helped me. I do have a spouse that is very supportive. There are many times I'm traveling. I am not the one who's taking care of the children. I am not the primary person cooking in my house. And we need to be okay with that. We need to be okay with saying, I am a woman and I'm different. I'm just different from these stereotypes. And we need to make enough room for everybody, every one of us, to bring our uniqueness to the table and not to demean other people. There are those of us who want to be single. There are those of us who are married and are divorced. There are those of us who don't even want to have children. And we are all powerful women in our own rights. And there is no one single way to be a successful woman. And we need to celebrate our differences and realize that this is what makes us as women a very powerful group. The other second bias, like I said, is that I grew up learning that good women should be seen and not heard, that there's a way to come into the room and smile, that there's a way women should be empathetic and sensitive and quiet. And if you're not that way, then you don't fit in. I have to tell you guys that for us to break those glass ceilings, we have to be willing to be called bossy. We have to be willing to be called insensitive, unempathetic, pushful. These tags that they give us when we want what we want, when we are speaking up. I've been in situations where a male counterpart will say exactly the same thing I said, and somebody will say, oh my gosh, she's very bossy. Well, if you have a dream or a vision, you have to push that dream. You have to become bossy. You have to take the realms and take charge. And we should be okay with that. And so that's one of the biases we should smash as women. The other barrier or bias that I really have encountered that we should absolutely smash is this idea that women don't have barriers. A few years ago, I was speaking at an event in Nigeria where a very good friend of mine, we had gone to college together, was sitting. And after I spoke, he came up to me and he said, Unoma, I don't know, all this gender thing, all this feminist thing, why are you making all the fuss? Who is stopping women from being what they want to be? You guys can be whatever. Like, he's like, I don't get it. Like, what are we talking about men? Look at Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala. Look at all these women. Who is stopping them? And I had to sit down with him because I knew he was honest. And there are many men who are thinking this. And I said to him, Tunji, thank you so much for bringing this up. But there are so many things that are stopping women. I will give you one example. Recently, I met up with a long-lost cousin of mine, and she was telling me the horrific stories of when she lost her dad. She comes from Asaba in Delta State. The minute she lost her dad, her father's relatives swooped on them, took all their possessions. They were not allowed to have land, took over his house, took whatever will he had, rewrote the will, threw them out of the house. Her mother was forced to sit down outside for 3 days and shave her hair completely in the guise of mourning her husband. These are some of the things that stop women from being all that we want to be. There are sexual cases of rape and sexual abuse that give women trauma for years that they can't move past. There are women who are still struggling to have access to birth control so that they are not having 6, 7, 8 children because they are married to a man who comes home drunk and is not able to control himself. Of course, women have all these biases. There are still gender biases in education where our educational system does not recognize that when girls come into the classroom, sometimes they are going through their monthly cycles and they need some empathy to understand that maybe they may not be able to participate in class activities. There are even girls who don't have access to things that they need for their monthly cycle, so they are not able to come to class. Of course, these are things that are holding girls back. And so we need to smash that bias. Whenever anybody says to me, who is holding girls back? I can sit down and list 100 things that we still have to break in order to give girls an equal footing and to get them to the table. And then number 4, I love this bias. We've seen it at the WOW Foundation, where people come to us and they say, Unoma, I don't know how you're running a female-run organization. I don't think that women can work together. They are so emotional, like they backbite, they gossip on each other. And heck no, I say no to that. I run organizations where it's predominantly women. At the Herbal Goodness, I am so proud and excited about our team that is 90% women, not because we've gone out to hire women, but because we've gone out to hire the most competent people, and they turn out to be women. And I can tell you that women work well together. Women love to work in communities. We love to share ideas. We love to collaborate and pull people together. And honestly, I believe that collaboration trumps competition. And so I stand against that bias that says women cannot work together. If you hear that, just completely disagree with that and start to form teams of women that can work together. In WOW Foundation, we've seen this. We actually conducted a social experiment in one of our fellows trainings where we put teams of girls and boys together. And when there was 60% more boys than girls, we saw that the girls tend to take a backseat and they let the boys lead. Somehow in our brain, we're told that whenever a man is around, that he should be the natural leader. And then when we change it around and we put all the girls together, we realize that they start solving problems in amazing and innovative ways. Of course, girls can work together. And so we stand against that gender bias. The fifth one is that women are not competent leaders. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this because I think our time is fast spent. Just the slideshow we saw today can show you how competent these women have been. Women like President Sirleaf, who has led Liberia really well. Women like Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, who comes from my area as well. We have so many amazing women, but there is still work to do. We still have the bias that thinks, again, that when we step up with a man, that a man is a more competent leader. And there's no such thing. We need to make space for more women to be leaders. And I particularly like what is going on right now in Nigeria, where women are starting to push forward for political power. Guys, we need to start pushing forward more women for political power and for economic power. Until we have those two powers, we will not make significant progress. And so we need to push more women into politics and into leadership and support them. And we need to put more women into entrepreneurs, as business owners who will build strong companies that hire more and more people. Because once a woman is empowered economically and she has money in her pocket, then she starts to understand her rights. And when a woman has political power, we can start to direct the major aspects of our countries and our communities to really see the type of change that we're looking for. And so I want us to start to push against that bias that says that women are not competent leaders. We also have the bias that says, this is another particularly good one, that if a woman has a family, she needs to slow down. You see, when when a woman gets pregnant or she's asking for a maternity leave, people start to say, oh my gosh, is she going to slow down? Is she going to? Guys, the fact that you have a family does not change the fact that you have a dream or you have a vision. You can have both. And you don't really have to slow down. It's all about your priority. If you can schedule your priorities well, more and more of our organizations and our companies need to understand that a woman with a family does not mean that she is incapable of putting forward her best. It just means that we need to make adjustments to ensure that she puts her family first and she is able to do her work in efficient ways. And so that's another bias I push against. And in our companies, various companies that we've built, I am very proud that we make space for women to have families, whether it's them working from home or providing them with the maternity leaves that they need, or bringing them back slowly so that as they are breastfeeding, they can get back. We need to value women more than the fact that they are just family makers. Finally, the last bias I want to talk about is that women are not competent in science, technology, education, and math. I know you guys know I would come here because I'm passionate about STEM. I'm a very proud African woman in STEM. My background is in computer engineering. I've worked as a technologist, I've worked as a developer, and now I'm working to empower and bring more girls into STEM. Again and again, I see this bias where people tell me, do you really think that women's brains are made for engineering? Maybe women should not just, go with the softer skills, graphics design, marketing. While I agree with those, I fundamentally disagree with the idea that women are not capable in science and technology. I think we also need to change the way what STEM means. STEM doesn't mean that you sit at your desk for 10 hours coding. There are so many disciplines in STEM and technology that women can participate and should participate in. Technology is the idea of creating innovative solutions to help our community. And of course, women can do that. From designing technologies to leading tech companies to being project managers in technology fields. Of course, these are all fields in technology. And STEM is important because these are the highest paying jobs. If we want more women to earn more and earn their independence, we should continue to encourage our girls and our young female girls to explore science and technology. These skills build problem-solving skills. They help us to think critically, and we need critical thinking in every aspect of our lives as women. And so I want to plead with us as women to ensure that we are exposing our girls, our female students to science and technology and letting them know that these fields are really accessible to them. So thank you so much. I don't know how many minutes. It says I have 0 minutes. I'm going to run through some of the things I think that we need to do. One is mentor somebody. The first time I was called a mentor, I cried. I thought, oh my God, I am not competent enough to be called a mentor. But since then, I've learned you can be mentored upwards and you can mentor. Wherever you are, you have something. And for me, mentoring means looking another girl in the eyes and telling her that you believe in her. For me, the words was what brought me here. All the time I hear the words of my mom. My mom always said to me, Unoma, the world is your oyster. You can do anything and be anything you want. And that gave me the power to dream and the courage to chase my dreams. And since then, as I mentor young girls, I've realized that it's not even so much about what you give them. It's about believing in their dreams, giving them the permission to chase their dreams and letting them know that their voices matter. So please mentor someone around you. Speak up and advocate, like all of us, on social media. Join causes that push for women to be empowered. Don't dim your own light. Do not dim your own light, because in shining bright, we give other women the permission. I can't count how many women have told me, Dr. Unoma, I'm inspired by you. Because you can do this, I'm inspired to go get a PhD. I'm inspired to start a business. There are so many women. I'm inspired to start a nonprofit. So don't dim your own light, because you do others a disservice. Go for your dreams, because as you go for your dreams, other women around you will see that they too can go for their dreams. And finally, let's enlist everyone. When we talk about feminism, the men leave the room, but that's not how it should be. Everyone should be a feminist, according to Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. Because we all want to make sure that women have an equal right. There's no point for one segment of the community driving all this. We need all hands together, especially as we're facing challenges. So this is not a zero-sum game. It doesn't mean that if we empower women, then we disempower men. We can all be empowered. My pastor used to say, the sky is large enough for all stars to shine. And so I want to leave you with my two favorite quotes. One is that well-behaved women rarely make history. Guys, for us to smash these biases, we've got to jettison these ideas that we have to be this particularly well-behaved woman. So let's smash that bias. And my very favorite quote, lighting the candle of another does not diminish your own light. It only makes the room brighter. So thank you all for having me. I am really honored to be here. God bless you, and God bless the women across the globe. Thank you.